Greetings, colleagues, council members, senators, alumni, students, and friends of Buffalo State. I have gathered us here today to share an update on the state of our beloved institution. Despite any challenges we face, I want to reassure you that the state of our university is still strong, built on our rich it's built on our rich history, our unwavering commitment to academic excellence, and our aspirational vision as SUNY's flagship comprehensive university. And if we keep saying that, everybody else will too. Our strength is not a matter of chance, but a result of the deliberate decisions that we will make today and in the future, shaping not only our present, but our future existence. When I assumed the interim presidency, I identified 3 strategic priorities: increasing enrollment, diversifying our revenue sources beyond tuition, and fostering a vibrant, inclusive campus culture. I truly believe that we have made substantial progress in these areas, laying a solid foundation for the next president to build upon. However, after attending a recent meeting of SUNY presidents, it has become abundantly clear that it is in Buffalo State's best interest to reframe those 3 priorities into 2, which I will delineate for you once I lay out our situation again. At the State of the University address in September, I articulated the issue that many SUNY comprehensive institutions are facing, along with Buffalo State. And that financial issue is that we're trying to address right-sizing Buffalo State University as we experience a structural deficit. The structural deficit is calculated by comparing the total number of institution employees to the current number of enrolled students. And as I told you before, in fall 2012, when enrollment was about 10,000 students, our total number of employees was 1,400. And by fall 2022, enrollment had dropped to 5,900, and our employee base had only dropped to 1,200. So we'd only dropped 200 employees in that time period. So in essence, the employment numbers were not trending with the enrollment numbers. And as I stated before, there are many intricate reasons and explanations for that issue, which I'm not going to go through again today. We all know what they are. But the bottom line is, without being able to increase significant resources of other non-tuition revenues, we were forced to use reserves to cover our personnel expenses for several years. So following this trend of declining enrollment and a static employment base, we had first calculated a structural deficit of about $24 million for the year 22-23, that academic year. However, after last year's budget was reconciled, we're showing a $16.5 million structural deficit as of June 30, 2023. And I want to tell you, that's the number that we agree with and SUNY does as well. So we're all on the same page there. The mitigating circumstances that brought us to this number included collective bargaining, contract negotiations not being completed in time to be included in the 22-23 budget, utility payments that came in lower than budgeted amounts, and I thank our interim vice president for finance for always over-calculating utility payments. There's nothing like running out of heat in the middle of the winter. So we appreciate that over-calculation. And we also increased in our revenue collections. So we increased more on our tuition and fees and other monies owed to us. Now that the collective bargaining negotiations have been completed, we will have additional expenses to cover on the salary side for the next 4 years. That's going to total about $11.4 million. And we're also looking at less than 2 years of operating funds in our reserves. To address the structural deficit, SUNY has requested a deficit reduction plan, and you'll hear some really interesting names and how they name things as I go through this. But the first you'll hear is deficit reduction plan, and they want each campus to provide one, and they want us to eliminate our deficit by 27-28. And for those that are counting, that's 5 years. The development of this plan is a continuous work in progress and is reviewed with the SUNY Chief Financial Officer on a regular basis. As it stands now, if everything remains constant, we can expect a structural deficit of $30 million by 27-28. If we do absolutely nothing, if we don't enroll one more student, if nobody leaves, nobody comes in, that would be our projection for our deficit. In developing the Sustainability Deficit Management Plan, we benchmarked our institution against 5 other SUNY institutions with the common data of similar enrollment numbers. We learned that our expenses on average are running about 20% higher than other peer groups. So as I stated in September, we will still have some work to do with addressing this structural deficit. Now, I'm going off script for a minute. I'll just be honest with you. The institutions that we were benchmarked against, pretty much the one thing we had in common was enrollment numbers. They are much different kinds of institutions than we are, but they are all classified as comprehensives. For example, I brought up to the chancellor that one of those institutions has 1 road in and 1 road out. That lends to less snow plowing, less maintenance, and less campus to care for. And he very nicely smiled and shook his head and said, well, that's who we're benchmarking you against. So we are looking, we are looking at ways in the cabinet, our cabinet members are looking at other ways that we can benchmark other than what SUNY has decided, which is comprehensive with similar enrollments. There are other associations and organizations that can give us a clearer evaluation of what we're doing and where we sit. We're the only urban institution. We sit right in the middle of the city. So there are things that happen here that don't happen in some of those other places. But I digress, I'll get back on track now. So basically that's where we are. We have to deal with SUNY's reality. But so as not to reinvent the wheel, I am reviewing with the cabinet all plans and all research that has been conducted by all of you. These plans and analysis include the work of the Future Forward Committee and their documents and recommendations, the Strategic Enrollment Plan, the Academic Review, the Retention Plan, our Strategic Plan, and the Financial Sustainability Plan, and also our Workforce Reduction Plan. So we're going through all of these documents that people have put a lot of long hours and hard work in. Please know we're not discounting anything that has been done in the past to come up with our decisions. In addition, I have held meetings with key stakeholders and will continue to do so on an ongoing basis to ensure that the decisions I make are in the best interest of the institution and are inclusive of the input of the people to whom they will ultimately impact. As a side note, anybody that wants to send my executive assistant, Melissa, a box of candy or a thank you note, she's working her hardest to get everybody in. And so just be patient with her and with me as we try to schedule these appointments. I have held focus groups with our residential life area to understand the perceived issues in the residence halls, and I will share that final report at next month's Senate meeting. I've met with UPD, I've met with admissions and recruitment, with EOP, and will continue to make the rounds to our faculty and student support offices and our operational units. I've met with a few of those as well. And I also held a forum last week with our students to hear from them what their issues and concerns are. And we've rolled all of this into the decisions that we're going to talk to you about today. I have and will continue to speak with my fellow presidents at our sister institutions who are going through this process to elicit best practices, as well as with colleagues from other public institutions who have already successfully navigated this issue. SUNY's account of distressed institutions is now 13, and we are among the distressed institutions. We may be at different levels, but that's the category we're in. So I'm sticking closely to those other folks to see what's happening there and how we might be able to benefit from it. So taken as a whole, I'm positive that we will develop and implement a plan that will help us significantly address the structural deficit through 2028 and maybe beyond. In light of our evolving circumstances and recent insights, we are reframing our strategic priorities to better serve our mission and community. First, central to our action is the enhancement of morale and our campus climate. I firmly believe that a positive and inclusive environment is the bedrock upon which academic and institutional excellence is built. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We don't have to love each other. We don't even have to like each other. But we can work together collectively for the good of this great institution. Secondly, we need to tackle the structural deficit that challenges our financial sustainability. And this can be broken down into 3 key areas. First, increasing enrollment is a vital component. We have to focus on recruiting them, converting them, and ensuring efficient revenue collection. And we also have to boost our retention and graduation rates. We do a pretty good job getting them in the door. Our challenges and where our opportunities to improve lie in retaining them through persistence through graduation. So we're going to be focusing on that heavily. We also need to expand our revenue sources beyond tuition, and this will require a multifaceted approach, ranging from leveraging our auxiliary services. We had a meeting this morning about some of our auxiliary services and how we can work better with them toward the betterment of the institution. Pursuing private and governmental research grants. We had a meeting about that this morning as well. So we're trying to intensify our fundraising, even though with fundraising, we always come out number 1 or number 2 in amounts and numbers in the SUNY comprehensive institutions. We still think we can do a little bit better. Simultaneously, we must implement a prudent budget reduction strategy that will involve stabilizing our workforce, improving our service delivery, affecting structural changes where needed, and optimizing our academic offerings. These steps are essential in addressing our structural deficit, allowing us to continue to offer a high-quality educational experience while ensuring our financial sustainability. Our approach to right-sizing the institution involves comprehensive stabilization and an optimization plan that encompasses workforce, service delivery, and structural issues among academic facets. This adaptive change requires that we pursue these strategic priorities in tandem ensuring that humanity remains at the center of our decision-making. In summary, by improving campus morale and climate and addressing our structural deficit through increased enrollment, diversified revenue, and budget reduction, we are setting the stage for a more robust, resilient Buffalo State University. Now, for the remainder of my update, I'll just talk about budget reduction. That's the prong we're going to talk about today. We aim to strategically align our workforce with the needs of our institution to ensure financial sustainability and preserve fiscal responsibility. I am implementing, effective today, November 14th, 2023, a hiring freeze. That will be the first step in our approach. The intention is to actively monitor and assess our workforce while being conscious of future organizational needs and budget constraints. This will require the consistent and review and approval of all position requests and funding by using an annual position management review process and an emerging needs request form. Now, before I go any further, we have in our cabinet, at our cabinet level, and especially in our financial areas with Jim Thor and Kelly DeLucio at the head, we have revised the previous process. It is not the process that you've seen in the past. It's the same name, it's a different procedure. We hope we have eliminated anything that is unnecessary, that we can collect from some other source without having you provide it. And we hope that we've made it easier through some drop boxes and some other things for you to complete. We want to have not only efficiencies in this process, but we also want to have equality and fairness. For instance, we have reintroduced the Office of Equity and Diversity and our Chief Diversity Officer into the decision-making in our hiring processes. In the past, this was a step that happened after hiring was completed, after the paperwork was signed, which really gave no assistance or no benefit to the person hiring of the Chief Diversity Officer and the Equity and Diversity Office opinion and view. To begin this process, we are reviewing all open positions, which will include positions in active recruitment, pending positions, such as positions in a draft state but not posted for active recruitment yet. We're reviewing the search waiver requests that are pending and requests for temporary service hires. This does not include student assistants, work study, or graduate assistant positions, or for that matter, any student paid internships that may be in the mix. The personnel sustainability management guidelines include vacant lines due to any kind of separation of service. It doesn't matter what the separation is, we're going to look at the vacant lines. A minimum waiting period of 12 months between the incumbent's last paycheck and posting of the position is going to be required before we consider refilling the position as a general rule. For example, if someone were to retire today and we actually weren't able to pay out all their sick time, vacation time, etc., until December 1st of 2023, that position would not be available for refill consideration until December 1st of 2024. Don't write it down, don't worry about it. We got a way for you to all take part of this in smaller groups. The department should review departmental needs and may request backfilling up to 20% of the vacant line salary to be used for temporary service support, also receives an or extra service. So we're going to hold the salary savings at 80% of that salary in general for most of these separations, and allow the departments to use 20% to continue to support their operations. The emerging needs form, which most of you are familiar with that, will have to be submitted if you feel there is a position that cannot fit into this 12-month cycle. As I said, we have reviewed and we have modified that as well, so that it's equal for every department, every area to have an opportunity. Losing a line or losing a person in one place may not have the same impact as losing it somewhere else. So there is an emerging needs process that will also be available to you. Right now, off the top of my head, I'm thinking that anything that impacts our safety and security and health might fit into this category. But that will be reviewed up the chain with your cabinet member actually being the final say along with other cabinet members. So we're going to try to make this as equal, as fair as possible. This policy covers all full-time, part-time, and temporary appointments regardless of the funding source used to support the position. Now, there's also a caveat there. We have some positions that are supported by grants or some directly supported by SUNY, and these are the only exceptions that there'll be to this hiring freeze. If it's funds from grants or SUNY, they don't apply. One of the more recent examples that I can think about, and you'll hear more about this probably in the spring, is SUNY has given us the funds to hire 2 positions under what they're calling transformational funds. I'm looking at Randy to make sure I'm saying the right words. Transformational funds, which will help with our retention, not our recruitment, but with our retention of our first and second year students. So we will go ahead with those positions and hopefully be announcing very soon how we plan to fill those. Since that's not funding that impacts our budget in any way, we will allow those to move forward. We won't be adding anything, to those budgets. Whatever SUNY gives us will be the price, the salary. We won't be able to add anything, but we will have those positions still funded. Academic affairs, under the guidance of the provost and the deans, will continue to make decisions regarding the filling of part-time and adjunct lines, as well as the filling of full-time lines of faculty and staff who vacate their position. They already have a process underway. We talked a little bit about it this morning again, so they will continue that process. And they will continue to build upon the good work that they've been doing actually since 2019 along these same lines, as far as identifying where the needs are and making critical decisions on how to staff the academic side of the house. Now, as I stated earlier, our anticipated structural deficit really has the potential to grow to $30 million if we don't take some aggressive action toward tackling this problem. Our preliminary assessment is that the hiring freeze alone has the potential to bring that number down from 16.5, our deficit number, from 16.5 to 3 million if we could stand it for 5 years. But we have forecasted out over 5 years, so we know at the end of each year how much of the deficit we are reducing. Now, this is not a solution in and of itself. This is just a first step toward comprehensive workforce stabilization. As as interim president, I feel I am obligated to continue to lead the association. Just hold on the prompter a minute. I'm to lead the association in the best way possible. And I know that SUNY is expecting us to do something sooner rather than later. But also as interim president, I do not want to box in the incoming president in any structural or hard way. That's not my role. The salary freeze, the hiring freeze will give us some flexibility. We have presented the numbers to SUNY. They have agreed that this is a reasonable plan, but an incoming president also has the flexibility to change anything that's put in place today. Okay? So kind of keep them down in Albany, away from us, you know, while we prove that we can handle this on our own. In addition to working toward workforce stabilization, we'll also explore 3 other aspects of our budget reduction plan. We will conduct a thorough analysis of our service delivery mechanisms to identify potential areas for cost reduction. This may include considering alteration of current service delivery schedules. Maybe we'll have to outsource certain services and get a good cost price for them by sharing with other SUNY campuses. Right now we do that with our legal cost. We are part of a group called WestCam, which are the Western New York SUNY campuses, and we all share in supporting legal counsel to be here in our area. We at Buffalo State are very fortunate because the legal counsel actually has offices on our campus, but they do serve Western New York. So through our collaboration, we can support an attorney, and we can support a paralegal to help us. And that's a way that we're collaborating and doing some cost savings. Now, please be assured that the quality of our service will not be compromised. Instead, we aim to leverage the collective strength of the SUNY system to bring our costs down while we maintain and improve service quality. We're doing something similar with our FOIL officer right now. When our full-time FOIL officer retired, the duties were appointed to a half-time professional, and that person works in concert with a colleague from SUNY Fredonia. So 2 half-time folks are handling the Freedom of Information requests. And trust me, over this last year, we've had a ton of Freedom of Information requests. Everybody wants to know everything about what's going on at Buffalo State. But that structure has been helpful and has stood us well through this process. To achieve greater effectiveness and efficiency, we will benchmark our non-academic organizational structure against peer institutions. We're going to try to identify areas of redundancy and an efficiency that will allow us to restructure our operations and redeploy staff from personnel-heavy divisions to those in need. And by doing so, we will not only ensure a more balanced workforce distribution, but we will also create opportunities for advancement and professional growth for our employees. Now, you've heard me say several times our core business as an institution of higher education is the academic enterprise, where the faculty and academic staff are at the center of designing, implementing, supporting research, curriculum, and pedagogy. As such, it is my intent to leverage our uniqueness and strengthen our ability to deliver a high-quality academic experience. Academic optimization, another SUNY word, was specifically identified by SUNY as means for the campus to bring their budgets into alignment. We look at it a little bit differently than SUNY does, I will tell you that right now. Optimization doesn't mean the same to them that it does to us. Under the leadership of Provost Mayrose and the deans, we will continue the process that we're reviewing. We think we'll get good results out of that, and we'll get a better quality of our academic workforce when we're done, and our offerings as well. We want to make sure that when we do this review, we meet the evolving needs of higher education and of the labor market, as well as the demands of the current and potential students. Our plan includes continuing the combining of existing departments where synergies exist, updating courses to reflect current academic and industry trends, shifting suitable programs to online or hybrid modalities, discontinuing low enrollment and low demand majors, and creating new programs aligned with market trends and student interests. Now, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take us a little while. We just want to be able to keep up with on a certain routine and progress so that we demonstrate to SUNY that we're making significant forward project toward their 5-year deadline. These strategies best reflect the best practices in higher education and in the public sector. They're not quick fixes, but strategic shifts designed to restore the physical health of our university while preserving our commitment to provide quality education and maintaining an optimal working, living, and learning environment for our faculty, our staff, and our students. This is a challenging time. These are very high and challenging aspirations, but I'm confident that together we will emerge stronger. Colleagues, we cannot avoid the reality of the situation that we're in any longer. I tried to and didn't work. Now is not the time to revisit history or to lay blame. The time now is to act. I cannot stress this enough. The power to maintain control in shaping our destiny is in our hands. If we squander this time through denial, avoidance, or any other delay tactics, we risk the autonomy to make these decisions, and we inhibit the future success of Buffalo State University. By not taking proactive and decisive action, we invite the imposition of draconian solutions from external entities that may not fully understand our unique culture, our strengths, and impact to this community. Let us not allow this to happen. For Buffalo State University is not just any institution. It's our institution. And its fate lies with us unless we fail to seize this opportunity. Contrary to the belief of some, this is not the old Western movie where John Wayne is not about to ride in on his horse at the last 3 minutes of the movie and save us. It's not coming. He's not there. Yes, we do have a champion in this whole situation, and that champion right now is our Chancellor, John King, who has shown his commitment to Buffalo State. He has made every member of his chancellery, of his staff, available to me on a weekly basis to provide me and my cabinet with the best counsel and support we could ask for. In addition, he has allocated funds intending to help us boost our enrollment. We've gotten increased funding so we can hire our own students to do different types of jobs so they don't have to go off campus and work and also try to go to school. We have funds to help with our mental health programming for our students. We have funds for food insecurities and a whole host of other things. We are wedded into the AmeriCorps system to the point where some of our AmeriCorps scholars will actually be able to get scholarships to continue to pursue their academic pursuits. I have the Chancellor's private cell phone number, and I call it, and he answers. And when I tell him what I need or what I want, I know he's thinking, why did I give this crazy woman my phone number? But he does get me to someone who can help me think through whatever the issue is. So I just want to let you know, from the Chancellor's office, Buffalo State is important. And I believe that he will continue to hold us in that regard. While the changes we have to make are going to be difficult, I assure you that they will be implemented with the utmost care, compassion, and empathy. Those are my watchwords. We have to do this because we're dealing with people. We have the backing of SUNY. We have, as I said earlier, we have the backing of our college council, who some are with us today. I have initiated dialogue with our campus leadership to let them know where we're going, and our collective bargaining agents, also our Senate leadership. And I have talked to most of our legislators in this area. And I can tell you that 100% they are behind Buffalo State, especially our legislators. They do not want to see Buffalo State as anything other than what we aspire to be. And so we have their support as well. One of them told me this morning, well, you know, the best way that we can help is to advocate for the budget. So let us know what you need in the budget. So where's my AVP for, there he is, okay. We've already given him a list. Okay, and I told that legislator, Bill will be calling you soon. So as long as we have these supports, we're gonna take advantage of them. We're gonna be aggressive. I hope that we can be collegial. I hope that we can be forward-thinking, and I hope that we can get through some of these difficult times together, because that's just gonna make us stronger. And that we're gonna come out on the other side with a better Buffalo State University. As your interim president, my role is to guide us through these turbulent financial times and set a course for the permanent president to lead us forward. I am confident in our ability to navigate these waters and emerge stronger. The challenges we face today will only serve to forge a more prosperous future for Buffalo State University. Now, I am sure that you have questions, but I didn't think having questions with, in this kind of forum, in a format that I'd call Stump the Band, would actually be the best way to address your questions. So as the semester ends and the holiday season comes upon us, I have decided to use the university meetings that are already on the schedule, like our College Senate meeting, our Provost Council meeting, and some other types of regularly scheduled meetings, for you to have more intimate discussions and more discussions that are specific to you and to your area and to your personnel. I have also asked each cabinet member to convene their division for discussion on specifics related to their particular area. And I will do my very best to attend as many of those meetings as I can. So Melissa's gonna need a little more incentive to get these things done, I'm just telling you. But before I conclude, I'd like to read a poem written by the Reverend Dr. Benjamin Mays, a famed theologian, a college president, and many, many more things to many people. And it's entitled, Life is Just a Minute. We've only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon us, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to us to use it. We must suffer if we lose it. Give an account if we abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Colleagues, we can't squander the time that we have to address our structural deficit. If we don't take the lead in the beginning to work to shape our future, we risk hampering our ability to control our ultimate destiny. I hope you will stand with me as we take on some of the most important work that we probably will ever have to do. So, I end by saying, onward and upward for Buffalo State University. Thank you.